And I'm like, do those people get imposter syndrome? Like, how do I struggle with imposter syndrome? And
They
Stephen
don't.
Bannon is out there walking around thinking he's the superior race.
Because there is a whole world and system set up to let Steve Bannon's crusty, dusty, ugly, wrinkly, blotchy ass skin self believe, you know what I'm saying, that he is superior to anyone. Like, society continues to reinforce the supremacy of the most mediocre. It's ridiculous.
Hey, welcome back to Black Behind the Chair. I'm Peppermint Petty.
I'm Impad.
And I'm Kay Bout It.
And Impad and I are two Black hairstylists who work on all textures of hair. In cosmetology school, we're taught not to talk about religion, politics, sex, and salaries. But this is what happens when Blackness meets the beauty industry. Please subscribe to our channel. While you're here, we love respectful discourse, so also leave a comment, like this video. It's a free way to support our growth. You can connect with us on all major platforms at Black Behind the Chair. And we've also got a phone number now, so feel free to call or text us at 470-713-5905. Leave your if you want to shout out, and you're also free to leave a comment anonymously. So, Kay Bout It, it's funny. I think I asked you if you would be our like political consultant, because like I tell people all the time that you're one of the smartest people I know. Like, I have like snarky shit to say about politics, but you actually be having the like real, like, who you just told someone the other day, they said something about leftist politics. I think they said being bigoted. And you were like, well, such and such is an ideology and such is like whatever you said. And I'm like, oh. And I knew whatever it was, I knew it was true, but like I never would have been able to say that because like I just got an attitude about how shit is messed up. But like I don't really know the real tea. So it has not been that long. This is actually a special episode of Black Behind the Chair. And we had such a good time when we were all together last Sunday, and there was a lot that we didn't go over. So we were like, let's do it again. So here we are. So welcome back, guys. One word to describe your hair today.
I'm going to say cute. Because I got it cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get the
We got a
shape
little
together.
more shape going on.
I like it. It's cute. It is cute. It is
Thank
cute.
You. Thank you.
What about you, Kay Bout It?
I'm gonna say swing because I usually don't wear my hair down a lot, but it's been down for like the last couple of days, and I've been like,
yes, Diana Rossing on them things.
I swing my hair back and forth.
Yes. Mine is still neat. It's been a week, and my edges are barely out.
Okay.
So hey,
lay them little big hairs.
One thing about me, no. One thing about me, if it ain't wake and shake, I don't want it. So yeah. Key did her big one with this. I'm gonna keep doing this for the next few months.
Yeah, so cute.
All right. So I don't even remember. Like last week when we left off, we're just like, there's still so many things we didn't touch. Let's get together again this week. But so much has already happened since then. So one of the things that happened and that I wanted to make sure that we touched on was Cory Booker. Whose record did he break with it? Now y'all know your eyes are gonna get stuck like that. Both of y'all rolled your eyes so hard. Oh my God, you both like literally all I saw was the white of your eyeballs when I turned around. First of all, whose record did he break with the filibuster? Let's start there.
Something
Strom
Strom.
Thurmond, racist,
Yes,
segregationist,
notorious
and baby
racist.
daddy to a biracial woman.
Wait,
Mm-hmm.
what now?
He has a mixed. He has at least one mixed child that we know of. That like it's out. There's like articles, whatever, books, but something. But like he has at least one biracial child that we know about. Although he was a deep segregationist, he hated Negroes so much he stood up for 24 hours to say discrimination now, discrimination forever.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, except when the lights are off. So Cory Booker broke his record by what, like 4 hours or something? Was it 4 hours?
I thought just like an hour.
It was about an hour because I stopped watching. I started watching a little bit before he broke the record, and I think I stopped watching at a little over 25 hours.
I gotcha. Okay. I didn't watch it at all when he was actually talking, but I did go in and like on YouTube and TikTok and like pull it up and like slide across. I just wanted to see like what he was talking about. I've never been a huge Cory Booker fan personally. Something about him just rubs me wrong and I could never put my finger on it, but just something about him I just wasn't feeling. So remember last time we got together, I was talking about like the performativeness of Democrats, and Kay Bout It was explaining to us that like some of politics is performative, right? But the Cory Booker thing definitely gave performative to me. One, his eyes were so bucked out. I'm like, is he on crack?
Oh, he definitely did some before.
Right? But more importantly, the things for me, and I'm gonna turn it over to you ladies here in just a sec. But the things for me that stood out was one, um, during this record breaking filibuster, he not only praised Israel, but also wore a pin symbolizing the plight of Israeli hostages. So there was that. So then I just wanted to like look to see if like APAC was donating money to him. $871,000 he's
Mm-hmm.
accepted from APAC.
At least because, just real quick, because one thing about Wesley Bell's campaign, because I looked at his campaign finance records, I did from the moment he announced until the very end, and you would not find AIPAC listed in his thing, but there was something on one of his commercials. I can't remember the name now, but once I looked it up, they were an APAC affiliate. So a lot of times you won't even see AIPAC on their campaign finance disclosures. You'll see something else, but it's just rebranded APAC.
Yep. There's so many loopholes. There's so much dirty money in politics.
Yeah. And especially after, so Citizens United, who did that come under?
Was that Bush? That was GW
Was
Bush,
it
I
Bush?
believe. And the
Okay.
GW Bush, I want to say.
And that basically was like written into the books that like basically corporations can buy politicians, right? Like I realize that's very oversimplified, but like
Actions are people
basically.
for the purposes of donating to campaign finance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure because, like I said, I'm solidly Gen X. We were talking earlier about everybody's generation. I'm very solidly Gen X. And one of the things about Gen X is we are extremely cynical. And I try so hard to be positive. Like, I want to be positive so bad, but like every time I dig too deep, I'm like, nope, just like I thought, y'all ain't shit.
I was
What
gonna
were y'all
say,
thoughts on?
going back to the Citizens United, because I was just looking into that the other day. That was actually under Obama.
Yeah. Yeah,
Shocking.
I'm gonna say it was either late GWB or early Obama.
Yeah.
Shocking. Yeah, not.
But that was a decision, so like he didn't, there wasn't nothing he could have done about it anyway.
Sure.
Not that
That
he
was
would,
his
but
decision. Correct. Because as I know, I've said before, I don't want to put my thoughts off on y'all, but I've said before that basically running for president is like just running for the head white supremacist. And so if you are not on board to like um protect and uplift white supremacy, that you will never make it to that office.
well, and
Um,
I will argue that that is really any elected official, regard from president down to your local school board, regardless of what local office or what office you're running from. You are, in a sense, and by your pledge, you definitely pledge to uphold white supremacy. They have a whole thing about, under this law and this constitution and na 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 na. So like I said, I know personally because I did it a few times, whether it's school board, your local mayor, whoever, you're upholding white supremacy, and in some senses you have to withhold state secrets from your constituents, and that is a part of the law. When you go in, you have the sunshine law, but there are things that are discussed in closed session, and you have closed session for the purpose of being able to talk freely without anybody feeling like it's going to wind up in the newspapers as you're, wrangling about the decisions you're going to make for other people. And so within that, you're going to be holding secrets because you could have a racist in your midst, but you can't run to the paper and be like, well, they said da 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 da, because you can be fined or jailed or whatever the hell. There's consequences for it. So, and that keeps people, and there's also the public shame, because you could very much be on the side of your constituents and everybody will be like, well, but you told some stuff you weren't supposed to tell, jail time, you know? And you could look at the person who, what did they spill? The documents, some documents that they spilled that were supposed to be helpful to us, Chelsea Manning, and that, but she get job. Same thing for any elected official.
The whole system.
The whole damn system. You better believe it, top to bottom, inside, outside.
Yeah.
Are you muted? Yeah, I can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you. Yes.
you can hear me?
Mm.
Okay. So I was saying, I don't remember what exactly we were talking about last night. Me and Damon and Key were having a pretty boisterous discussion last night. And I was like, whatever it was, I was like, because remember, Damon was in Ferguson with us a couple of times too. And I was like, remember when we were like, indict, convict, send that killer to jail? The next line, the whole damn system is guilty. I was like, do you understand what we mean by whole? As an entire, as in
Top to
ball
bottom.
it up, throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so until somebody shows me something different, that's my stance.
No,
But we're going to keep.
it's accurate. And you could have a room full of Black people. I heard this from Diallo Kenyatta, and I don't remember who he got it from, but it's called Picking Cotton After Dark. And they be making cotton after dark. You know what I mean? Upholding white supremacy and doing the absolute most. And, if you're, put into a lot of these positions, even when like I was elected the first time, and the reason why I didn't win my third election is because when I was elected the first time, they thought that by, the way that I speak and the fact that I went to a certain high school that, I was going to uphold white supremacy. But then when I proved through my actions and my vote that I very much could be rebellious and that I was going to defend, the Black community, um, then I was anti-Semitic and I didn't like Jewish people and I wasn't for the community and all the white people that that weren't Jewish and who had supported the same things that I had supported in the past. Now they just like they don't when they see me, they don't even talk to me, and I don't talk to them either.
Like, first of all, I don't give a damn.
I would and not speak ho, because like for real, that'd be the best. We're staring in each other's
Literally.
eyes and not speak. Even better. We both know what's up.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Impad, when I mentioned Cory Booker's name, your eyes went to the back of your head so hard. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to, what are your thoughts? What were you thinking? What were you seeing?
So, like, at first, I was like, okay, cool. Like, you're up there saying what you got to say, and seems like you're acknowledging like what is happening, right? Like, fascism is here. It's always been here, but like it's here in the like plain as day in the White House, no denying. So like, okay, cool. And then I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like watch it. I was just seeing like clips here and there. Um and so I think I went on Instagram, and Now This or one of those pages posted like, Cory Booker just gave a historical speech of 25 hours and he beat out Strom Thurmond, who was a racist, and blah blah blah. And then it was like, these are how many policies he blocked during that speech. And the next slide, it was like 0. And I was like, yeah, what was the point? And then when I really started thinking about it, I was like, honestly, okay, cool. It's cool that you replaced the um whatever, with your speech over the record over the racist, but also this shows me you could have done this the whole time and you chose not to.
Yeah, on so many levels.
So many
Well,
levels.
because and somebody, and I'll look it up eventually. I should have looked it up before, but I'm under the like if it's a actual law that they're filibustering, a lot of times at this point they don't actually have to stand up and talk. They can say, I want to filibuster, and like that'll halt, you know what I'm saying, that legislation for a piece of time. My understanding of what Cory Booker was doing was, yes, he did halt the ability for lawmakers to come together and try to pass more legislation or to put something on the floor or to get a certain nominee. Because I think Trump had that civil rights attorney that is, going to be going through the nominee process. So, there are a lot of people, talking heads, that are like, okay, well, he kind of sort of held that up. But ultimately, it was a fundraiser for the Democrats, a fundraiser for Cory Booker himself, and a kind of kickoff to what will probably eventually be a failed presidential campaign. Let's just be honest. He wasn't very popular when he ran before. He won't be popular again. And like I said, I did tune in to it because I was, doom scrolling on TikTok and I heard about it at hour 15. So by hour like 23, I'm like, okay, well, let me see what he has to say. So I tuned in to hear that it was going to be historic. But Cory Booker also voted very much for the TikTok ban and has been on TikTok ever freaking since. Like every time his page comes across mine, I like to remind him that you voted for the TikTok ban, sir. What are you doing on TikTok? What are you doing?
Hello.
What are you doing, sir? You're a fraud and a hypocrite, and I don't care how historic it was. In those comment sections, it's gonna be Kay Bout It talking about some sir. Didn't you ban TikTok?
Period.
Are you not
Period.
for genocide?
Period. Timu as Barack Obama.
Right. Oh,
Hmm.
during his speech, he definitely gave his best Barack Obama impression.
Yeah.
And like, sir,
Yeah.
fail, fail.
Yeah. Wish. They got that Barack off Wish.
They did. Yeah, no, it all the way down. And, people are like, oh, it's performative, it's performative. I think a lot of politics and activism is performative because, I mean, life is performative because every time I walk out the door, I'm performing because I don't like you. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I get it. There's a lot of performance going on in the world. And I still think your intentions matter in your performance. Like, you can't, like, when we were shutting down malls, our intentions were there versus when he's shutting down the Senate, his intentions are mostly selfish.
To
Right.
raise money.
Yeah.
And
Well, and I was even thinking like, where was he when Al Green stood up and, said what he had to say and was later kicked, you know, he's now censored. Like, okay, well, where were you then?
yeah.
No,
And yeah, and like, I'm not saying AOC and Bernie are perfect either, but like they're out going to these rural areas and like at least trying to educate, people about what's going on. And it's like, well, are you doing that? Like, what
Yeah.
else are you doing other than like you essentially stood up in front of your peers and was like, hey,
Cracked out. Toxic.
yeah,
Okay.
like,
facts.
But I don't remember if we talked about, I feel like we did. I feel like in an earlier episode we talked, because AOC is another one that I'm just like, I really liked her in the beginning, but she, for me, is proving to just be the same old, right? Like when Kamala was running and AOC's face was everywhere when Kamala was running. And remember, they were supposed to, like, they had agreed to meet with some Palestinian protesters, and then at the 11th hour changed their minds, and AOC like went live. But I don't even remember all the details, but I just remember I was like disgusted.
So
I
AI
was just
represents New York, and there again, this is where it goes back to my original point of, because I love AOC, I've always, but she represents New York. She represents one of the largest Jewish constituencies, probably more importantly, pro-Israeli Jewish constituencies in the country. And so, do we want her there as a buffer to do the things that she can do, or do we want her to stand on principle? Because, like, you can't do both and expect to continue to either be in the House of Representatives or, as people really want her to do, because she's over 30, right? She's been so young, to get into the Senate or to run for the presidency. Like Cory stood 10 toes down on, being pro-Palestinian, and she's at home with a podcast with Jamal Bowman, who also stood 10 toes down. Now, am I like, yes? Okay, but also we lost two very loud, very openly rebellious people in our Congress, even if they too were probably not perfect and probably were going to make some decisions. Ultimately, we're going to side eye.
sure.
So,
Yeah, and my issue is not like, I don't expect for anyone to be perfect, right?
mhm.
But I expect for you not to be a hypocrite. So like last time we got together when we were talking about Kamala saying that, well, vote for Donald Trump if you don't want there to be a Palestine anymore. As if the invasion, like as if they hadn't already hundreds of thousands
Right.
of children. I think the average age in Palestine is like 18 years old. Do you know how many people you had to have for the average age to be 18 years old. And so, like, it's cute. Like, I like, some of the things that they say. I like when they get spicy and shit, but like, is it really going to push the needle forward? Yes or no? And for me, the answer just keeps coming back as no.
So I think, like, is it going to push any like political needles in Washington forward? Probably not. I think the performative aspect is not, it shouldn't be for their colleagues or their peers. It should be to motivate us. And if it's not, then maybe they need something else. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but
Yeah, yeah,
a lot of the performance and a lot of the spectacle, it should be around motivating us, because the people who are behind the scenes, while they have levers of power, specifically, the power has to be in the hands of the people. Like, the revolution has to begin with the people. It's not going to come from the people that are in those halls. They're compromised. They
yeah,
cannot. They can only
yeah,
do so much, but they can come out and they can say things that maybe inspire others to be a little more radical,
yeah.
or
So
even
before we got on,
completely in
go
opposition,
ahead.
and be completely, and be even further left and say, yeah, that's good, but you know what I'm saying, we can have land back and this other radical distribution. We shouldn't just stop at healthcare. What are some other things, and be more radical. I think we need people who are willing to run as far leftists, so that people like AOC and Cory and Jamal look, they look normal.
Yeah.
Because right now they look like the far left, and they're actually barely center right.
Right.
They're barely center right.
Like,
That's
even by
annoying.
like
That's
standards.
what pisses me off. They try to make them seem so radical, and I'm like, they're
No,
literally Republican light.
Yeah, I'm like,
okay.
shouldn't everyone like be in favor of like affordable healthcare or universal healthcare? Like, why is that such a radical left thing? Like, that
Right.
Yeah,
should be a basic.
yeah. Like other developed nations have it.
Yeah.
So before we got on, huh?
I said some less than developed nations have more
No,
affordable
for real.
healthcare. People fly to the Philippines and Mexico, like, you name it, for all kinds
Yes,
of things. Greece, Turkey,
yes,
they out here.
yes.
You pay
No,
like
for real.
dollars and come back, and they be, boobs, booty, stomach done, teeth,
Hairline.
airline, everything, and
Yes.
$600. And that was the surgery, the vacay, the stay, the therapy,
Right.
whatever.
Yes.
Hmm.
Come on
No,
now.
for real. No, for real. So I think before I actually hit record, we were kind of all ruminating over today is April 5th, and there was supposed to be like large protests. And I think we like mentioned it, but we didn't really go into it. So um, I had one client, I think, in the last week that said anything to me about the protest. And it was more like, I'm thinking about going, but I feel like she was just trying to see what I was going to say when she
Right.
said
Mm.
it. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to be at home with my feet up. Like, I'm definitely not going. Have you heard anyone that's going? Have you seen anyone there? Like, have you heard of what's happening over there in Missouri?
Yeah, I had a few guests talk about it. I actually had a coworker go today. A few others wanted to go, but we're busy doing it. So yeah, it was very talked about. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not really see. I personally didn't see anything. I had a friend, we were passing out flyers for a fundraiser in the Loop here in U City. And we talked about it briefly. And then I guess she was out and about and saw some people near the Target in Brentwood, which is in a area that was formerly a Black neighborhood until they gentrified it. Just a little history. So I was like, yeah, that's a great place for white people to be gathering right there on that corner, in the middle of Consumerville, because that's what it really is. And then outside of that, the biggest rally that was happening was held in DC. It looks like they're saying more than 1,300 demonstrations all across all 50 states. And the largest one was probably in DC, outside of the, what is that, the Washington Monument.
Mhm.
Do they have any estimations on the number of people that actually attended?
It's saying thousands, tens of thousands attends hands-off rally protest against Trump in DC.
Okay.
I don't see an actual number
Yeah,
yet.
we might not see any numbers until like tomorrow. I was just
Yeah,
curious.
but
I
there's
was curious.
1,500 rallies nationwide. Most of the ones that I've been seeing on TikTok from different parts of the country. I saw one that was in New York, and there were like 3 Black people in the frame, and I was like, "What are y'all doing?" Um, but I saw the
I
one.
will say, when I drove to work, I went through Brentwood and I did not see any POC out there.
Yeah,
And I was
Good,
like,
picture I have, I
curious.
didn't
good.
see either. But in the one in
Yeah.
New York, and I actually just pulled up a picture, and there were 2 Black people in the front of this. I don't know if you can see that. Hold on. Oops. That's a different picture. But yeah,
And if you just screenshot it and text it to me, I will literally insert it
can you see
into the
them right there?
podcast.
So this is,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yes, 2 of them right back to in the flags and the most. But yeah, but the one I saw from San Diego looked primarily Caucasian. So big up to San Diego, come out. Like people stayed home, white people showed out. So yeah, so but I haven't really like my timeline hasn't been flooded with them. So I thought that was kind of curious.
hmm Yeah, I had to actively go looking for it this morning, and it was all like announcing everything that I found when I went looking for it this morning was like announcing all these tens of thousands or hundred however many people were going to be protesting, but then they would have like 63 likes. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, huh, we'll
The one in
see.
North Carolina, the pictures from North Carolina look pretty massive. New York looked pretty big. I want to say I saw
Okay.
a couple that were maybe in European countries or just outside of the United States. So there are also other people outside of the United States that are, going
Well,
in. But yeah.
Trying to
and then
see.
did y'all see that Keisha Lance Bottoms just announced that she's going to be running for governor of Georgia? You remember Keisha Lance
She's
Bottoms?
here of
Huh?
Atlanta. She,
She was the mayor of Atlanta.
my friend
And
from
then it,
not friend from high school.
Whoa.
To high school with it, we know each other. She worked for her,
okay.
so
Yeah, so I think that'll be interesting. I can't remember why she left, but it seemed like there was some lightweight
maybe
scandal behind it.
was it
I'm
cops?
sorry.
I was going to say, yeah, it was Cop
It
City,
might have
right?
been. It might have been. That would make sense. It might have been. And so yeah, and she's been gone. She's been laying low for a while, although I'm pretty sure she worked like as a senior advisor for Biden. But yeah, she just like I think they described it as like the whisper heard round the world or something like that. Because I don't think she's like announced it publicly, but she basically is running for. She's planning to run for governor. So that'll be interesting because yeah, Georgia's Georgia, Georgia
And I
going
want to
Georgia.
say Jill Stein's VP pick is running for governor in California.
Okay, yeah, they keep
And that
saying
was a black guy, right?
Kamala is looking into running for.
I heard that, but then I heard she's not going to do it cuz she's going to focus on the 2028 presidential election.
She probably shouldn't, especially now that we know that her husband is partner at a law firm that is one of those that's giving millions upon millions, tens of millions of dollars even to Trump for what is that pro bono work for causes that he wants because basically Trump blackmailed them and then they caved. So yeah, Doug Inhofe, partner.
Good.
So you know what? So I know that they're not going to be that, but like I could be of two minds about that because I'm going to give you tens of millions of dollars of pro bono work, which is going to definitely taking away from like the real pro bono work that these mega billion dollar law firms should be engaging in. And at the same time, if I'm doing pro bono work for Donald Trump, bare minimum. Like you're gonna
There.
tell me and I have to give you free work. I'm gonna bill the most amount of money that's free and you are going to get like the least amount of work. Like the least. Like you're
Really.
weird what do you call it? Motions and legal filings and just like really a whole bunch of dog chasing their tail to like get you to that amount of money and then go back to doing what I want to do. But I
I
don't think
cannot.
they're not going
I
to do that.
cannot.
Going to like actively resist. They,
I'm so disgusted. Like I'm just so disgusted.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
well, I was gonna say, so with this and just with like everything that we know about like politics in the United States, like, can you reform this? Like, can you get, all the right people into these positions to really change the system? Like, I don't think so. And I'm just so tired of this. And I'm only
No, it's
31.
exhausting.
Like,
No, it's
I
exhausting.
don't know how you ladies were doing this and also raising children.
Yeah.
I oof. Props to
Yeah.
you. Could not be
Yeah.
me. But
No, and it's
woo,
funny that you say that because I'm constantly lecturing because I live in Georgia, the fucking damn near belt buckle of the Bible Belt. And they love them some Jesus here, and they are the very Christian nationalist, very Christian nationalist outside of Atlanta, right? And so there's lots of conversations that we have around like young women. Like I have quite a few young women who are choosing not to have children. They just don't want to have children for whatever the reason. Yeah. And like their families are like shaming them and trying to bully them and like trying to force them to have children. But like, first of all, we're not incentivizing young people to have children. You're trying to bully and like create laws to force people to have children, but like you're not doing anything to incentivize people to have children, And when I look at like who was the guy that we just talked about in Africa? Ibrahim somebody, I think it was like Siri Faso, but even like Gaddafi, I think in Japan they do this where they you get like a certain amount of paid time off when you give birth and like you get housing and you get medical, health insurance and like you're raising the price of everything, but you're not raising the money that people are making. Um Shit is just violent and hard and like why would I want to have kids in this environment? Like nothing about this environment even makes me want to have sex, let alone like
okay.
give birth.
and
Huh?
the availability of men is terrible. Well, they've always been terrible, but just now women are like realizing that it's a cesspool and they're not good, you know. So yeah,
Mhm.
and it doesn't. I think even if you get like a really, really good man and he's really kind and nice to you and he's like your best friend, he probably still not really gonna take that great care of the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, still not gonna like go to the grocery store with the kids like you would. Like they're
Mhm.
just like
Yeah.
no. I how you really feel. Yes, son. And
What did he say?
he said, "Is that how you really feel?" I said, tell us how you really feel. I guess. Yes, yes, I want
That's
them.
Kate.
Want my sons to know that I am a misandrist, and you know what I'm saying. Like
Same.
I love them, but they might be trash too. I'm not going to defend them.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh my
like
god.
Tatum's ex-girlfriend always be like, he's my 13th reason. And I'd be like, probably. I can see that. Like,
Yeah.
I was excited when
Yeah.
he had a girlfriend, and then I was like, poor girl. All he do is play video games. And I mean, this is what y'all have to deal with. And let me tell you, as a mom who just raised nothing but boys, like, they kind of the same from birth to death. You know what I'm saying? Like, their toys just change a little bit, but not, they don't, they be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Well, and I even tell
Literally.
people, like, imagine me going through like pregnancy and all that to bring a beautiful baby into this world. I try to raise it to be the best person that they can be. And then one day when when the child is like in 3rd grade, there's a mass shooting and I lost my kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or measles, because, you know,
Or
our,
measles. Yeah, literally.
or they do stuff like this, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't know how to not leave you alone, even though they kind of grown, but not really grown, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, or they get trafficked. Like,
So many things. Or, you know what?
so
You
many
have
things.
like the boys, and then they grew up to be abusive. And not only are they abusive to their girls, they're abusive to you as well. Now, mine, not so much because I live in a legal carry state. But y'all, I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, no, mine are not abusive to me because I got a screw loose, but I could see how I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. Yeah, I just nothing about the world today says it's not first of all, it's not sexy. Nothing about the world today is sexy. And certainly nothing is giving like glowy, soft, like who wants to be pregnant and struggle at this? Like pregnancy is its own struggle. You don't need no other struggles.
I think if people just had like, a commune, if people really want kids, then, and they're just like, I want to have a child, then, pick somebody you think is pretty cool and you can deal with. But ultimately, you need a community of women.
Hmm.
Well, yeah. So I've talked a couple of times about this podcast that I love. It's these guys. It's I think it's like three core guys, but they have like other guys kind of come in and out. And they're guys, right? But they're like relatively enlightened guys, right? Like they're not homophobic, they're not like overly misogynist,
Is it the one with
They're like,
Kyle?
huh?
Is it Deontay Kyle, like Grits and Eggs podcast or something?
No, it's waving the red flag, I think is what it's called. And so they were actually just having a conversation recently about whether or not they would raise a child with their like would they basically have a hetero life mate, right? Like would you raise a child with your homeboy because like for whatever the reason? And like the fact that they would even have that like how many grown ass men are having that conversation? But you and I used to talk about that all the time, Kay, about it, where it's like just find you like a hetero life mate, right? Like or whatever. Like I don't care your sexuality, but like find you a community of women and like everybody has their jobs that they do. Like I'm in charge of cooking, I'm in charge of daycare, I'm making sure the house is clean, I'm making sure homework's done. And like because like depending on the current system is just this shit's not working.
Do either of you watch anything on like Sister Wives?
Yes, I was just gonna make a sister wife comments. Go in,
Okay.
girl.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I find that like so interesting. And like, if you take the man out of the picture, like, they really do have, well, and of course, it depends on the family and the whole situation and everything. But like, a lot of them, though, really do have like great communication. Like, all the kids view every mom as a mom. And like, they can say like, "Oh yeah, this mom taught me to be this way and I learned this from this mom." And like it really is such a beautiful like community. But then of course when you bring in like religion, power and like all that, it gets ruined. But
Misogyny.
like,
Yeah.
yes, but like I really do find that so fascinating. And
So
I was fortunate enough when I was in college, I took an anthropology class. And like, when you hear of how, like, old tribes used to raise like children and everything too, like, where do you think it takes a village to raise a child? Because like everyone in that village like participated, you know?
yeah,
Yep.
exactly that. And I would say that when I told y'all about Queen Priscilla, the Queen Maker last time, and she also talked about that from an anthropological perspective about the village is always women. The village has
Mhm.
always been women, and typically when they do, there may be one man. She likes to say there's one man that they pass around, he the hoe, and then stay over there. You might raise the kids, you might if you cool, but there's another one that if you try to act up and use your, strength, then, we can take care of you, woman king, whatever. So I think
Yes.
would be the most natural thing.
I mean, I just really think at the end of the day that women are supposed to be in charge, and men have somehow have like bullied their way to it, like muscled their way to it, but they
That's
don't
really,
know shit.
I
Like they
don't
don't know.
know if I said this on the last show, but I heard this quote and it was saying men created God because women created life.
Mm,
exactly, exactly. Yeah.
I feel that.
To religion, another thing that that woman will also say is that religion is not for women, it's for men. It's to keep men in line because women don't need the same hierarchical commands that men need. That's why it's good for men to go into like the service, Air Force, all these things, because men, they need an alpha, whereas women, we're like, oh no, we know this is more egalitarian. Men need that alpha, so that's where religion comes from. And in order to control women, they needed to institute religion so that they could put them above women, God, men, women, children.
And no one ever wants to talk about that it was Lilith and Adam before it was Adam and Eve. And Lilith got banished because she refused to bow down to Adam. That's why God broke Eve from Adam's rib to be submissive to him.
Girl, this is my first time hearing this story now.
Yeah.
I never heard that. I'm gonna Google that. Okay, look. So I'm again being a terrible live stream moderator, but so this comment was about 10 minutes ago, and it says, "I'm gonna need an explanation for her not running for office after she previously announced Keisha was running again." I don't know what that means. So if you would come on and clarify that, because it's been, 10 minutes, my bad, but I'm paying attention now. Okay. You guys have any closing thoughts? We kind of were already all over the place there. Any closing thoughts on that before we move on to another topic?
I was going to say with like the protest happening, I am happy that it's like majority white people doing it, and I hope it stays that way. I do want to say, like, and I don't want to kill anyone's fire. Like, I remember the first time I went to a protest, and like, I felt like, wow, all these people, like, we're all on the same page. Like, I was feeling joyful and hopeful, and like, so I don't want to kill that vibe for anyone. But also, with you doing it on a Saturday, where was your message? Who was your message directed to? And at least with the protest that happened down in Brentwood, I couldn't help but think, like, okay, you have all these people down here, like, with their signs and all this. How many of them then went and, like, spent money in Brentwood? How many of them went to that Target just to go shop around? How many of them went out to eat at one of those little restaurants right there? You know, like so I'm just kind of like, what's your message to today? And
Nah, word.
no politicians are working today.
Yes,
So
it's Saturday. The building
yeah,
is
it's a
closed. What I
Saturday.
always complain about screaming at empty buildings.
Yeah. I just
Yeah.
why they, why the cousins did not talk to their January 6th cousins about what it really takes to have an effective, political message out there. And so they need to really, take a message from them, take a message from Eagle fans after they win a Super Bowl, and try something new, friends. You know what I'm saying? Try something new. Because
Yeah.
radical times call for radical action.
Mhm.
Word.
Mhm.
Word. Okay, she came back and said Keisha announced she was running for Atlanta mayor again, and then 3 months later opted out. I'm gonna have to look into that a little deeper because I do remember there was something like I don't remember the details because I must have had a lot going on in my personal life at the time, but I remember it was like kind of shisty and she disappeared pretty quickly and she's just been like I said kind of low key for a while, but like I know that Atlanta loved her. I remember that. Um Very much like a around the way girl, whatever. So, yeah, I'm going to look into that more and maybe do like a short video, short informational
Is
TikTok or
is
something.
Stacey Abrams like still in the game? I feel like I'd never hear anything about her anymore.
Well, I know
But
she
maybe
moved
that's just
out
me.
of Georgia after the current governor like stole the election. And she dipped and I want to say she moved to one of the Carolinas.
Oh, okay.
Um yeah, like I think
Love
that that's
her.
one of the reasons why what happened? Like something happened with Donald Trump and our current governor. I want to say Abbott, but don't quote me on that because
Is it
I
Brian?
don't remember.
No, that's the Secretary
What
of State or something, isn't it?
I can't think of his name, but
Not Brian Kemp.
Kemp. Thank you, Kemp. And so something happened with Trump having to do with the election, the last election. Remember in 2020. And like Kemp jumped up quick and was like, no, it was a fair election. Like, no need to count the ballots again. We'll whop the bam. Because there was some questions about the election between him and Stacey Abrams. And there were some
I remember
inconsistencies.
that.
And yeah,
Yeah,
that's why he was so quick to go against Trump.
right,
Yeah.
Mm.
right,
Like, no, no, no. Everything's fine.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of weird too because that was when Warnock, and what's the other guy,
Ossoff.
Ossoff. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's when they had initially won their seats then too. Um,
Hmm.
Mhm.
so it was crazy that Kemp won, but then Ossoff and Warnock won.
Mhm.
Like, how? Way.
Yeah.
Although, Missouri is one of these places where like weed legalization, sports betting, abortion, all of them passed with, with well above that majority line. And they're like, whatever, I can't even remember. I don't even want to remember the man's name that's in there. I've met him before too. He's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Impact and I have definitely talked about that before, where they pass all these like leftist policies, but they keep electing Republicans. It's wild.
Yeah.
But again, it's like white supremacy. Like yes, we want to smoke weed
Cuz
under white supremacy.
they're socially liberal and fiscally conservative.
They're racist. Because when I was in line trying to get legal weed in Illinois when it first came legal, there was definitely a guy there with a MAGA hat. And I could tell he was trying to be cool and like talk and chit chat with us, and we was definitely not giving him no play. Who are you?
Literally.
Yeah. So
Gross.
absolutely not. Yeah. They exist. And Missouri is like the case study for that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Hmm.
That's why, like, you can't reform this.
No, you
We just
absolutely
have
can't.
we have to destroy and rebuild.
But then I just want to say this. So there, what is that movie, Civil War, that came out like a few years ago? Have you seen it?
You
Hmm.
said what now?
There's a movie called Civil War. It came out like what, like 4 years ago. Um,
Mm-mm.
But the premise of it is America's already enthralled in the Civil War, basically because everybody hates the president. The president was so terrible that everybody from every side was fighting him. And somebody was like, "Oh, what do you think?" They never show you what happens after the president is taken out or whatever. That, spoiler alert. They never show you what
Mm.
happens in the movie after they capture the president. And so, like, me and this one of my Uber drivers one time were surmising about it, and I said that it was a a thing where there were people who would have been KKK members or Proud Boys or any one of those paramilitary groups, and then there were also radical leftist groups. There was some groups that looked like they were primarily made up of Black people, and initially, all of those groups were fighting against the government. But what do you think happens, once the head of the government is taken down? Whoever has the resources, which is probably going to end up being more white men, whoever has the resources will dictate what the policy is. So,
So,
like,
do y'all mind if I switch? Okay, so real quick, that was Secretary of State Brad Rafflesberger. I think that's spelled wrong. Who said the election was fair and then promptly enacted more voter registration policies. Right. I remember that, but I'm pretty sure that Kemp also like jumped on that bandwagon. I could be wrong. Um so speaking of who was in charge, you were talking about who's in charge. I wanted to ask y'all if you saw in Zambia, did you see, I don't remember what the mine is actually what they're mining. But China's the next China's already colonizing Africa behind America, right? So there's some mine in Zambia that just spilled 50 million liters of acid waste in the Kafue, it's Kafue river. It's Zambia's most important waterway. The river like is officially dead. They dropped so much acid waste in the river that the river is dead. And people, this is people's drinking water. People bathe with this water. It's I'm definitely going to be doing like a deep dive on that because I need to know what that means for the rest of the world. Did you guys see that story?
No.
I'm looking at it right now. But the AP doesn't really have a lot on it, just basically what you shared.
Mhm.
And they actually
Yeah,
about a month ago, so they've been, well, we don't hear about it because we have enough going on.
yeah. But that's a big deal.
A copper,
That's a big deal.
yes.
So I'm going to be doing a deep dive on that and definitely sharing more information on that. I just wasn't sure if you guys saw that and definitely wanted to make sure to put it on your radar.
I hadn't heard of
Um,
that one, but did you hear I did hear about this one back in February. A canal in a suburb of Buenos Aires, Argentina, known as the Sarande Canal, turned bright red. And I mean, it literally looked like blood. I don't know.
wow.
Yeah. Like that's
Wow.
scary. And they were saying that it was due to chemical waste. So it sounds a little fishy that all these
I don't
No pun intended.
I don't
right.
understand because I mean we live on a floating like circular spherical rock, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
how do these people who run these companies feel as though this won't affect them? We're all, you know what I mean? No matter where these disasters, or not natural, these man-made disasters happen, they affect all of us. They affect the richest among us. You can have a million, billion, $1 trillion, and if you can't drink the water, you're dead, sir. You know, like if you can't breathe the air, you know.
I think they're trying to run like to Mars or whatever though.
Yeah, I was about
Like
to
I
say
think
that's why
they're
they're
gonna leave
all
us
having their
behind.
little
All the like
straight.
scientists with like half a brain, because I like to watch them run their mouths and yap 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 on TikTok, and all the scientists with half a brain says that we are years and years and years and years and years away from colonizing anything. And why would we go someplace that has a colder climate and no actual water when we live on an amazing place that actually has water and all the things that we need to survive and thrive? And no other animal on the planet feels like it has to exploit the natural resources. And actually, no other human on Earth was really exploiting in the way until the Europeans found their
The
way out
omnicidals.
that tiny little place
Mhm.
they call a continent, even though it's a land mass that's attached to Asia. For being
Hmm.
clear. So I don't know.
Yeah.
They crawled off of that spot. You know what I'm saying? Exploitation has been the game, and now everybody's running towards that, and they, instead of where we used to be. There's a guy, I'll find him, I'll send it to you, on TikTok, that talks about how Europeans didn't have like the basics of um watching, drinking water, housing, and all of the things. They were constantly fighting nature,
Hmm.
bathing, yes, instead of living in harmony with it. And so he does a really good job of breaking down like the indigenous practices that existed for 50,000 years. And now we, you know, we act like it's something new when it's always been here.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because white supremacy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, and bear with me because this is kind of long. I'll try to shorten it. But do you guys believe in aliens?
I don't disbelieve them.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Like,
if I
I'm
can
open to
find
the
this,
idea
if
that
I
they
can
exist.
find this video, I will send it to you. Typically every time I go looking for it, it gets harder and harder to find. But and I don't know
Mm.
if like the video itself was true, but the message that I got from it has always stuck with me. Anyways, apparently it's this video from like the 50s or 60s, and it's a leaked video from Area 51, and it's these two people interviewing extraterrestrial life that they found. And so when you look at this thing, it does look like your stereotypical like alien, like kind of big head, big eyes. Um and they're asking it, they're like, where are you from? Blah blah blah. And it says that it is from Earth. And they were like, no, you're not. Like, we're from
Mm.
Earth and like you don't look like us and blah blah blah. And
Uh-huh.
it was saying that that is what humans adapt to because where whatever time period it was from, like pretty much everything had been destroyed from nuclear like war. And it even talked about how it was traveling to find out like at what point in time did it really pop off. And it was pretty much just saying like that's what we adapted to. And of course, like the scientists, they bring up God. They're like, oh, so you've seen God. And it was like, God isn't real.
But
Like
really.
it doesn't, it's not what you like think it is. And it talks about
Hmm.
like God is the universe, like,
Mhm.
and you destroyed it essentially.
Mhm.
And it just always made me like wonder, like, yeah, when you hear people talk about like time travelers or like aliens, like, yeah, what if that is what humans essentially turn to, because we're just blowing up the whole fucking planet. And sure, there could be some survivors that will have to adapt to living in radiation, right? I mean, we've seen evolution happen with almost every species. So who's to say that we don't turn into something like that? But that has always like kind of stuck with me. And then, I mean, it kind of freaked me out the first time Trump ran, because I immediately thought of that video. I was like, holy shit, like, he's going to get in there with nuclear codes. Like, he's buddy buddy with Russia and North Korea. Like, and so, yeah, if I can find the
Pretty
video.
precarious. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and in the video, the time traveler alien was saying that someone got into power and like things just
Yeah.
snowballed. So I was
Yeah.
like, cool, here we are. It's happening.
I think if I was going to be advising an alien, I definitely would say that they needed to go back to Germany and rescue Albert Einstein and make sure that nobody got anywhere near any of his theories. And they also probably needed to make sure that they went and they found Nikola Tesla too, and made sure that they, hid him away from Alexander. Who was that? Bell? Was it Alexander Bell? Whoever invented it, because he
Yeah.
was a thief. And Tesla had a quote about him being a thief too. I didn't even learn about it, so I heard a kid's school project. I was like, what? But yeah, Tesla basically was like, he's a thief. So if we could go back in time, get rid of a couple of those people, hide some of their theories, you know what I mean? That would help. Also Teddy Roosevelt, because he was he was a colonizer.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely let Tesla know that there was going to be a deadbeat baby daddy crackhead coming up behind him.
Uh,
To steal.
Also, I would say that Elon is more in the vein of Bell than he is of Tesla, because Tesla was like, I didn't mind that he was like stealing things. I was just like, why didn't you have an original idea of your own? So Elon is a thief. He doesn't have an original idea. He has lots of money in the way that Bell did, and is able to pay people or able to steal things and then call it his own. And somebody on just turn that Tesla symbol upside down.
I saw it. I
Oh,
saw
wow.
that.
I
Yeah.
can't see it. If I
Yeah.
Mhm.
were an owner, because I
I
know some
saw
Tesla
it.
owners, I would definitely go out and buy a Toyota symbol like tomorrow.
What was did you see the other one? I forgot what logo it was, but if you spun it around, it literally was a swastika.
Hmm.
Is
I
it
Let me
like
haven't
see if
seen
I
that
can.
one.
you or something?
It was.
Because I feel like they were made in Germany and they were made during World War II. They were like original,
A
weren't they?
lot of Volkswagen.
Yeah, like between like them, Volkswagen, a couple of them, they were made, they started during that era. So,
Hmm.
Makes
and
sense.
It
also one
does.
thing that I think is going to be, could be bad for us, but also maybe better for the rest of the world. One of the reasons why that, his crew did not get a hold of the atomic bombs first, and America was able to get it, was because they didn't trust the Jewish scientists' research. And so that's going to happen here in America with, everything that's going on. They're not going to trust the scientific data that comes from DEI researchers. And then, somebody's going to swoop in with, the technology that they have. Like China already has a better AI model than ours. I want to say Israel already had some like malware that was crashing everybody's thing. And our government is going to be completely open to it because they think that only drunken white men can make good decisions.
Mm, 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 mm,
So,
mm, mm.
Liberation Day go? Sorry to change the subject, but how did April 2nd Liberation Tariff Day?
No, bring it up. Bring
Because
it up.
like, he done put tariff on like a penguin island, but like not really on Russia and North Korea. We were just, saying empath that those are the homies for him. And he put
Mm-hmm.
tariff on everybody. The market
Yeah,
crash. If you have a 401k, you probably don't know more.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I don't think that they did this by accident. Like, I don't think Donald Trump himself understands what he's doing, but the people
no.
around him do. Like, they're not entire. Like, a lot of them are Harvard grads. They are very well educated idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see where somebody was able to like take the formula for the tariffs and like they did the formula backwards and realized that they basically just put it in Chat GPT? Like
Yeah, I
nobody.
like something random. I didn't know that it was like a chat GPT, but I saw that it was basically like some random formula that they came up with that has no basis in reality.
It's
Like,
from Chat GPT. Like, and whoever, I believe I was on Twitter, they showed their work, like how they got there. It's from Chat GPT.
that's why I love this, the internet and the ability to connect with other very brilliant people who apparently have
Yes,
free time on their hands.
you're way smarter than me.
So much smarter. So much smarter. I'd be
That's
Yeah,
like,
it's
wild.
from that. It's from Chat GPT. Like
yeah,
they literally didn't change a single thing. They were just like basically like write a formula for tariffs, like blah blah blah, and then what it spit out, that's what they rolled out.
good for you.
No notes.
Well, it makes sense then why Antarctica was a part of it
Yeah,
because the Chat GPT wouldn't know not to
yeah.
include. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But the thing that I've really been like wrecking my brain around, and I feel like somebody that's smarter than me really needs to like look into it, is okay. So, first of all, I feel stupid because we've known these tariffs are coming for a very long time, and we should have been short selling some shit. Like, we should have known that there were certain businesses that were probably going to perform very bad. Seems like all of them. We should have been out there short selling the stock market, getting our shmoney. But I need to also know that I want to see if there are other like billionaires or millionaires. 'Cause I'm not really on those streams, those Wall Street type
Yeah,
streams. To get into that,
yeah,
were short selling during that time because, one of the things that they found after 9/11 was that there were certain entities that were like short selling on certain businesses like the airlines and like steel or, other like industries that took a huge hit after 9/11. And so with the anticipation of these tariffs, who's to say that Wall Street and, maybe somebody like Bill Gates or Bezos or whatever didn't also do those things because they would have had some prior knowledge, and two, they were like, if we're going to lose money on this end, at least we can make money on the back end during a short sale.
yeah. I don't know enough about it, and I don't have money to play those types of
And me
games.
either. Me either. I don't dip in. I mean, other than what I have to in my 403b,
Yeah,
I don't deal with it because I know that some people do and they're really good at it, but I just see it as a part of enabling the system and lending legitimacy to something that's very illegitimate. So I don't
yeah,
even deal with it. And then, when it goes way up, I don't make $1 million, but then when it goes way down, I don't lose too. So it's cool.
Yeah.
yeah. There was one stock, and I was trying to remember what it was because I did see something again. Like, I know that Elon is trash. Um, but I still fuck with Twitter because a lot of times I see news there like 24 to 48 hours sooner than I see it other places. So I saw something in the last few days and I will actively look for it and share it in the edit where there was one stock that did really well, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. But there was something that it was like if you had invested your money in this stock, you would be doing very well right now. And it was the most random thing, but it made perfect sense. And I was just trying to Google it to see. Um, and it's not coming up for me, but I'll definitely look for it and I'll share it in the edit because I was blown away.
Well, did you ever see that movie about the GameStop situation?
I have not watched it, no, but I
Watch
know
it
it exists.
TikTok.
Huh?
Yeah.
I watch it play out on like in real time on TikTok.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, me
yeah.
too. But
Um,
Twitter, but
I'm
same.
probably
Yep.
gonna like not get all the vocabulary right, but what was funny about that was like all the billionaires and like all the people that benefit from the stock market getting upset about them losing their own game that they play every day. And so it's just so funny to me that they were like, is this legal? Like, can this happen? It's like, yeah, y'all do this shit all the time, but you're just upset that it's a regular person who outsmarted you. And like,
Mhm.
I wish people would understand. Like, that's why I brought up, with the protests, like, you want to make a big difference, stop going to work. Like, everybody. Like, stop paying
Mhm.
your rent, stop paying, I don't know. I know for a fact I'm not paying my student loans. I haven't paid on them. I'm not doing it. Like,
Absolutely not.
and I have some people that are like, "Oh, I still pay mine." And I'm like, "Why?
With what money, bitch?
No,
What money?"
I don't think I paid $1 of my student loan money, not like 1 red cent. And I applied for the Biden whatever that thing was. And I don't know what I got, but like eventually they started sending me bills that said like you owe nothing. And I was like, yeah, this energy forever. Because I wasn't gonna
Mhm.
I wasn't paying no way. I'm
I
a die.
wasn't gonna
Yeah,
pay it anyway, right?
I'm not paying it. And
No.
then like, yeah, you got to stop funding, but that's the thing, right? Like they won't stop doing that.
Yeah.
They feel like they have to go to work. They feel like they have to do that. And I'm not saying like we're going to take off work for 10 years, right? I'm just saying how about all collectively one day, corporate America, don't go to your job.
I think people don't trust each other. People don't like faith that, that enough people will do it, that they'll be protected because, you need to reach a certain critical mass. And most people are like, I'm not going to go to work or, like PTO times, I'm just going to be like, oh, I'm sick today. I'm not going in. But what about the people who, actively can or cannot? And I think that one of the things when people start talking about general strikes that I feel they aren't doing well enough is, or just in general, even, the 92%. And 92% of people, I looked at the statistics, 92% is mostly people that just did not vote for Trump. Even people that voted third party are like mostly included in that 92, 93%.
Mm.
We can't just rest. We have to be actively community building, so that when people are like struggling or when we do have these mass actions, when people are taking off or not going to work, whatever, that people's basic needs can be met. Because one of the
Yeah.
things that I really figured out in Ferguson taught me was that you cannot ask people to protest in any way if you cannot also meet their basic needs,
Fill in the
housing,
gap. Yeah.
whatever. And so we weren't, and we were not able to, because that's not the way in which it was organized, was to meet people's basic needs for the long term, or for like a short extended period of time. And until we can do that, it's really going to be hard to have that ask.
No, it's
Yeah,
true.
and that makes total sense. Well, and I also say too, like, the revolution or whatever, it's not going to be easy, right? And like, I would say, looking how things are going, probably not everyone's going to make it either.
No.
And so, I know, and I don't want to speak for anyone else. Like, I know me personally, I would be willing to die for a better future because, like, as of right now, and trigger warnings, all that, I'm not like or anything, but I am trying to picture a future for myself. And as of right now, if we stay on this timeline, I don't see it. I'm not going to be able to retire. I'm gonna have to literally work until I die on the job.
Yeah.
Like, and that doesn't sound fun to me. And now, like, I probably am not gonna have children. So like when I'm older, I'm probably gonna have to go into like a nursing home or something. And those are falling apart. So like that's also going to be miserable. And I just feel like at 30, yes, I've had some great things that have happened. Like I feel like I've done a lot in my 31 years. But now it's just like but I've also struggled, and I'm just picturing like again, if we go down the same timeline, I don't see a life for me where I'm not constantly struggling. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Me
No,
personally.
I don't think that there's ever been a point in my adult life where I felt like that I was going to retire. Like the retirement was an option, like for somebody like my age. I was just like, oh yeah, that's probably not going to happen. And yeah, also, same with what you said, but I feel like, yeah, I don't feel like my back hurts. So and
Oh,
I can pretty
yeah.
for like 100 yards and then I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. So like, yeah, I don't want to necessarily be uncomfortable in my 60s. So yeah, I would much rather, sacrifice for the cause than to, and hope that whatever, but we have to get to the point where that sacrifice actually means something and it's just not somebody, just out here being a martyr. I don't want to be a
Yeah.
martyr.
No, 100%, 100%. Yeah. But that's the thing too, right? Like, and not to say that everyone has to be a martyr, but, some people are going to have to sacrifice whether it's, inconvenience or like, their favorite coffee or their favorite bread. And yeah, maybe me saying like the life is a little drastic, but if you're not willing to give up some of this simple stuff, what makes you think that's gonna like you're ready for the real revolution? Like that's what I get so upset with is all these people like we need a change, but you're still going to Starbucks, you're still
Right.
shopping at Target or Walmart or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily like calling out, in those communities where Walmart or Target is all they have, right? Like if that's where you got to go, that's where you got to go. But like as a collective whole, a lot of us don't have to shop at those places. We just do it because it's convenient for us. And like real
And I
change, you're not going to be convenient all the time.
And with that protest or like boycott, I think I also say that it counts as a boycott when, when we go, let's say we're going to Walmart and we go to Walmart primarily for groceries. But when we're also at Walmart, we're going to browse the shoes, the underwear, maybe a new table or whatever. And I think it's really appropriate if you have to go there for your essentials. You have to get your essentials, but if there's something on that list that you can live without, then you definitely you knock that off your list. You say, you know what, we won't have a new tablecloth for another 6 months, or we're going to hold on to this until the wheels fall off because it's more in the description of a luxury item than it is a daily essential. And so I think that when we make that distinction, because I think that's where a lot of the boycott could be won because most of these places make their money off of the non-essentials. They're not making their money off of your groceries. They're making
Hmm.
money off of the stuff you don't need. So
Yeah.
when you boycott that stuff, you have a greater impact than you think. So
I
sacrifice.
think though that it is probably I think we assume that everybody wants revolution, right? And I think the majority of people don't. I think the majority of people just want to be comfortable and like left alone. They
Yep.
want to drink their Starbucks and watch their Netflix and like order their shit off Amazon and like they just want to be left alone. And so I think that's part of the problem is we're not all on the same page as far as what even is revolution, right? Like what
Mm-hmm.
even is that? What does that mean for us? I was talking to some elders recently, and like I was telling them, like, you guys are comfortable. Like you have your retirement, you have your pensions, like y'all are good. You have disposable income, like y'all are good. But like you said, the rest of us, like, we don't even know, like, I'm 50 and I don't see, like, I'm not going to be able to retire. I have chronic illnesses, like, you know what I'm saying? And there's no end. And I'm fucking tired. Like, a bitch is tired. Like, the amount of pain that I've worked in, you know, sometimes the exhaustion that I have to work through, like, just existing sometimes, like, takes every ounce of energy that I have. So if I want to have my fucking butter pecan Dunkin' Donuts coffee in the morning, you know what I'm saying? Like if I save that $3.52, I'm not gonna be able to retire, so I might as well YOLO, bitch. You know what I'm saying? So
All day.
I don't know what the answer is. I just think that that's why, as uncomfortable as it is having Donald Trump and his clusterfuck of DUI hires, um, that I think it's important that people are as uncomfortable as possible because
Oh,
it's making you think about like what the fuck really matters. What really matters, like at the end of the day, where had it been somewhere else, someone else, we might not have to really think about that because we're comfortable enough.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, now it feels like everybody's uncomfortable. Um, so
The key word is mostly like middle America, white straight folks are uncomfortable because lots of people have been uncomfortable for long periods of time. And, but now, even those people, the FAFO crowd, so many people thought that they were going to throw that ball and it was really a boomerang. And it came and it smacked them in the face. So I just feel like that, those are that's really the critical mass. I think that a lot of people, it's not so much revolution that they're necessarily seeking. They're seeking, a sense of normalcy in their lives that doesn't feel exploitative, that feels sustainable, that feels, like they can live peacefully. But then there's way too many people who are comfortable with being comfortable, as long as they don't experience pain. But they're fine with other people. In fact, they enjoy. It's more enjoyable that other people are experiencing pain for them to sit in their privilege. And those are the people that really got to go. I think other people can be worked with, but if that feeling that's not going to work for the type of world that I think ultimately people like us would want to build.
facts.
Agreed.
D says if you must shop, don't buy store brands and only buy necessities.
Don't
Now, I'm gonna say this.
wait real quick. Don't only buy store brands or do not buy store
Don't
brands.
buy store
It
brands, only
it
the
says don't
necessities.
buy store brands. Can you guys see that? I have the comment pinned on the screen right now. Can you see it?
I can see it.
I might be in the wrong screen though.
Ah,
Yeah, I know
yeah.
for me personally, like I deleted my Amazon account. So like I no
Mhm.
longer will be using Amazon. I haven't gone to Target. I don't go to McDonald's anymore. And these, like my little electronic devices, I probably won't like update those. Like these will probably be the last ones that I buy. And like my car, like I'll probably run that bitch to the ground, as
Same,
long as she holds out for me.
Yeah.
same. Yeah, I just paid my car off last year
Same.
and she's in great shape. So yeah, I'll be driving Miss Daisy until I can't drive her no more.
Yeah.
And definitely I it, I don't do Walmart, but like at the end of the day, like all big businesses are kind of trash, right?
Yeah.
So like I mean Costco is certainly better than Target, but I feel like if we dig hard enough, we're gonna find some shit on Costco that we're like, that's janky.
Yeah, of course.
Um,
They're a multi-billion-dollar company, and I think Mason and I were having this debate the other day. Oh, Ziggy's back. We were having this debate the other day that you can't be a billionaire and be a good person. Like, no matter how nice or kind or how
mhm.
much philanthropy you do, ultimately you're still a billionaire. You're still exploiting people, and so are these companies. You're not, can't be making billions of dollars. And even if Costco pays their people, $15-$20 an hour, is that still really, compared to
That
the
ain't
amount
enough.
of CEO?
Hmm.
That ain't enough.
Like, when they were talking about building this Costco here in University City, when, the white people were like, well, it's fine that they're going to tear down, somebody's home to build this Costco because they're going to have these $15 an hour jobs. And I was like, well, you do understand that if you're making $15 an hour working full time, you probably really can't afford to live in U
Can't afford
City.
it. Hmm.
For real, not in nowhere nice. You might
No.
be able to get a Roach Motel in the hood, but like maybe.
I want to say average rent for St. Louis is like $1,500.
Well, and so my youngest child and grandson are living with us right now. They've been living with us for a year and a half. I love them. I'm grateful that I am able to host them. And also, I'm looking forward to them having their own space. But, my daughter's been putting in applications. First of all, the application fees are like $200,
Hmm.
$250 just to apply, right? You have to be making 3 times the rent to be approved. If rent is $1,500, you need to be bringing in $4,500 a month to get approved. First of all, if I'm bringing in $4,500 a month, I'm not going to live in this little ghetto ass apartment. Okay.
Hmm.
That's first of all. It's insane. It's insane. And none of it makes sense. The math is not mathing.
Yeah, like imagine that, but it's also like in St. Louis. They were showing some apartments on Facebook that were like on the corner of like Kings Highway and Chippewa. And then people were like, people get shot over there. And the apartment's like $1,200. And people like, people still get shot over there. People like, well, stop being negative. That's an up and coming neighborhood. No, it's not. That building up and came, but the rest of the neighborhood, like they're
Did not.
it's very sketchy, like and that's
Wow.
lots of places in St. Louis, and like you can tell that like a lot of these places they're advertising to people that are coming from other city is probably for people that are from other cities, because everybody from St. Louis in comments like, you want me to pay over $1,000 for anything anywhere in the city of St. Louis that's outside the Central West End, you must be off your rocker.
Yeah.
Period. And it's not a
Yeah.
house, off your rocker.
Yeah.
You're crazy, but like
Yeah.
it's starting to do that here in because I remember when I was telling people how much I paid in rent for like the house, and they were like, "What? Dang, I pay $1,000 for a room in DC," and I was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Before we moved to Georgia, we were paying $1,000 a month for like 2,000 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath with a full basement on a corner lot in a nice neighborhood. huge yard, $1,000 a month for a house. And we got to Georgia, and I literally had to bully these people to give us a 2-bedroom, 900 square foot apartment in the hood for, we were paying like $1,700 a month. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. But there's, and honestly, and that's another thing that, like, people are watching, but people don't have the time to really put a lot into, is the fact that there's a company with a computer program that basically is setting these rents all over the
Yeah.
country. you know it's it's a bullying tactic, but eventually I think too that would be the strike. Like, let's stop paying rent. Like, you could put that in an account for 3 months, wait your 90 days, and on the 89th day maybe you whatever, but like, I think a rent strike would be where it's at. And I think too, if you live someplace that's kind of crappy, you might have a legal avenue if there's like a bunch of stuff that's like not fixed up around your house, where you can withhold rent for periods of
Mhm.
time. So I think that's something that people should really be looking into, as well as a rent strike. But also
I was
on
well,
I
then
love
housing.
it's
that.
ridiculous too that like you paying rent doesn't go on to like your credit. Cause I
Yeah.
was calculating the other day, my first apartment, I paid 700 a month, and I was there for 4 years. So that by itself is over $30,000. And really, there's no record of me like
Yeah.
that doesn't show
Spending
up on anything
$30,000.
important. Yeah, $30,000. I've been in this place for almost 2 years and I pay 1050 a month. And so that will be over $50,000 I have paid into rent and I have nothing to show for it.
Yeah. All right, so let me ask you guys this. This is crazy, but we've been yapping for an hour and a half.
Yep, yep, yeah.
Yap, yap, yap.
Put me on the floor.
And literally. And I actually still have at least 2 more questions that we haven't gotten to. So
Okay.
one of them is, I want to know, I want to be educated on mutual aid. What is it and what is its place in the future? And then I also want to be educated on ranked choice voting. But we're an hour and a half in, and like I need a potty break and some more shit. So I want to
Get a,
see,
yes.
huh?
I said I just need a charger.
Ah, yeah. So I don't know how you guys feel about taking a break and coming back for another quick little, something. I know this is our off week. Or if you want to just pick it up next Sunday.
I can continue talking.
Yeah, I can come back. I just need to find my charger.
Okay.
Mason for one, but males.
Yeah. Word. All right. So Impad, why don't you read us out of this hour and then we'll take a quick break.
That's a wrap, but the movement marches on. Black Behind the Chair isn't just a show, it's a statement. We're Impad and
Peppermint Petty.
joined by
Kay Bout It.
challenging you to be your most authentic and unfiltered self, both in the salon and beyond. Keep shaking the table and breaking the mold. Until next time, power to the curl.
Cheers.
Cheers.